Hey, Elvis Cup Guy here. Hey, coming up next, it's a radio show that I was on, a podcast on the Scared Monkeys Radio Network, and I did an interview with Dana Pretzer on the Dana Pretzer Show. So anyway, I talk about the Elvis Cup, my eBay auction, the Elvis War, all kinds of crazy stuff, but there's some really interesting stuff that I go over. And remember, this is from 2006. This was almost 18 years ago. So anyway, hang tight, and it's coming up now.
Okay, we're back. This is the Scared Monkeys Radio Network. I thought I'd change the tone here a little bit from that depressing topic that we dealt with last to one that's more fun. Talk about eBay auctions. Talk about one of my heroes, Elvis Presley. Talk about a guy who attended an Elvis Presley concert in 1977, I believe, and he got a cup that the king had drank, is that a word? I don't know, drank out of, and sold some of the water that was in that cup on eBay. Now he's going around with that cup on tour, and if you check out the website, www.elviscup.com, that's www.elviscup.com, you'll see what Wade Jones has been up to. Wade, how are you?
Good. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Now, you were 13 when you attended this concert?
Yeah, in fact, I just turned 13. My birthday was in earlier in February, and I found out on the radio that Elvis was going to be coming to the Charlotte Coliseum. I lived in Charlotte at the time, and for my birthday, I asked my dad if he would get a ticket for me to go see Elvis in concert, and sure enough, for my birthday, he surprised me, and he had 2 tickets, one for my mom and one for myself, and I ended up going to Elvis's last concert in Charlotte, North Carolina. It was February 21st, 1977. It was just 6 months before he died.
Now, you snuck a tape recorder in there with you, didn't you?
Yeah. What I did was I had gone in there with the intention of taking some photos of Elvis, and I had gotten a tape recorder for my birthday also, a little Panasonic. It wasn't small like the ones now, but it was a lot smaller than some of the ones that had been out. So I actually put on I had a Levi's jacket, and I had a belt, my dad's belt, and I strapped it around my shoulder and had it underneath my jacket. And then when the show started, I actually pressed record, and I had it sitting in my lap during the concert. So not only did I manage to get the cup Elvis was drinking out of, but I managed to tape record the show.
No, that's 1977. What did you do with the cup and the water in it to preserve it, I guess?
Well, what I did is as soon as the show ended, the way I got the cup was I went to the stage as soon as the concert had ended, and they cut the lights on, and they said, Elvis has left the building. And I told my mom to stay in her seat. I was going to try to get a souvenir from the stage, and I was hoping at the time to get a concert scarf. They had the scarves that they gave to Elvis that he threw out to the fans all folded up in a briefcase.
Sure. Yep.
And by the time I made it to the stage, policemen had lined up there, and I asked one of them if he would hand me a scarf from the briefcase, and he said he couldn't. They were property of the Elvis show.
Right.
And so I looked around for another souvenir, and I noticed the styrofoam cup Elvis had been drinking from sitting on a stool while he introduced his band for about 10 or 15 minutes. So I didn't think the police would have a problem giving me something they were going to throw away, so I asked him for it. I didn't say, there were quite a few cups on the stage, so I just didn't say, hey, hand me something or hand me a cup. I pointed to the cup, and I said, would you hand me that cup?
Okay.
And I think it was the fact that I was, young, that he kind of took the time to actually reach over and hand it to me, because there was a lot of pandemonium going on.
Sure, yeah.
Because a lot of women were, crying and screaming that Elvis had left the building. I think a lot of people thought that he would maybe do an encore or something, but, he never did.
Right.
So anyway, I got the cup, and I went back to my seat. To make a long story short, when I got home, I didn't want to pitch the water out, so I put some plastic wrap or saran wrap over the top of the cup and put a rubber band around it, and kept it in the door of my mom's deep freezer in our utility room.
Right.
And so it stayed kind of cryogenically frozen until about 1985. So it was kind of by accident that it managed to stay in good shape like that, because I guess if I would have thrown the water out and kept the cup in my room on my dresser, it would have been torn up or destroyed or thrown away. But the fact that it was in my mom's freezer, and then the fact that Elvis died just 6 months after I got the cup, kind of made it that much more special. I decided, hey, I might as well just keep it in here. for safekeeping, and sure enough, that paid off. So it really wasn't hard to keep it, safe, because, like I said, it was in that freezer, which kind of acted as a vault. And then by the time in the mid '80s, when I'd already moved out of my parents' house, I want to take my cup with me. I was, older and smart enough to know, hey, I'll thaw this little bit of ice out,
Sure.
and put what's left in a little glass vial, and I had it sealed up with a glue gun, the seam of the glass vial. So I had Elvis's water in one container, and I had his cup in another. So I was old enough then to, take good care of it, even though I'd been ridiculed since I was 13 for actually having a cup and water from Elvis.
Okay. If you're just tuning in, the Elvis Cup Guy, Wade Jones, is here. Check out his webpage, www.elviscup.com. Take us to the 3 tablespoons of Elvis's water you sold on eBay.
Well, I really never had any intention of selling Elvis's cup or selling the water, because I never really thought it was worth anything. But it was just about 2 years ago that some of the news reports were coming out about a couple odd things that were starting to sell on eBay. And the one that really caught my eye was the woman that sold the Virgin Mary grilled cheese sandwich for, $29,000, something like that. And I said, wow, that's kind of interesting, but I thought that was a fluke. But then it was like the next week, somebody sold their grandfather's ghost for like $50,000, and then sold his walking cane for $29,000. And so I had quite a few of my friends and family members that knew I had sold things on eBay and knew I had Elvis's cup. They said, why don't you sell that on eBay, because this seems to be kind of a trend that people are buying odd things, and I'm sure nobody has that. But I really didn't want to part with Elvis's cup because I was really attached to it, and I still am.
Right.
But I thought it would be kind of quirky and just odd enough not to sell his cup, but to sell that little bit of water that was left.
Sure, yeah.
Because, you would think, well, who in the heck would buy, water? And I knew eventually that this water would evaporate totally, even though I had it, sealed and protected as well as I could. Plus, it was real murky, and my wife didn't even like to see it because it was just kind of gross looking. It was, had things growing in it,
sure,
and she just never wanted me to bring it out. I always have to keep it put up. She thought it was kind of morbid that I had his drinking water. So
sure.
I said, well, what the heck, I'll put this on eBay and see what happens.
Right.
And I actually put it on eBay, and it got some media attention, and it ended up selling for it sold for exactly $455 on Christmas Day of 2004. And I really didn't know the scope or the impact that auction had on the eBay world until that night, when I had Associated Press and Reuters and CBS News in New York and ABC calling my house, wanting to know about the sale, who bought it, and the story behind it. And this wasn't like local stations; these were like national, from New York. And so I said, "Wow, this has got a lot of publicity behind it." So the next day, I decided to one-up myself and not sell Elvis's cup itself, but I decided to kind of tongue-in-cheek sell an appearance of Elvis's cup on eBay.
Right. And what happened there?
If there's ever a time to do it, it would be now.
Sure, yeah.
And sure enough, that auction 1 week later closed for $3,000, and they flew myself and the Elvis Cup and my wife out to Colorado for a week, and I actually started the official Elvis Cup Tour, where I actually tour with the Elvis Cup and put it on display.
Has anyone from Graceland or the Presley estate contacted you or had any comments about you?
Well, yeah, they have. In fact, it was later on that month I picked up a Rolling Stone magazine while I was in a Walgreens and read something about Lisa Marie Presley and her mom, Priscilla Presley, talking about how some of the fans are trying to make money off of Elvis and some of the more tacky things that people have done, and they mentioned the Elvis Cup Tour.
Right.
And then I've been contacted by Graceland to stop selling Elvis Cup apparel on my website.
Okay.
Or not Graceland, but Elvis Presley Enterprises.
Right. one has to wonder if Elvis Presley Enterprises really should be considering you that much of a threat as far as what you're going to make from what you sell.
But, it was a lawyer actually called to the office after I got the letter in the mail, and I called him and actually spoke to him, and he said, well, we just really don't have a problem with ElvisCup.com,
mm-hmm.
and we don't have a problem with you, selling or making money showing Elvis's Cup, which in all honesty, I really don't make that much money. Most of the appearances I've done have been fundraisers or charity events and things like that. I really just try to cover my expenses because, it's not like you're actually seeing Elvis himself. You're seeing some of his garbage. And so they were really cool about it, but I think they just had a problem with, selling T-shirts and things with the word Elvis on it.
Well,
so I didn't want to cause any problems, so I didn't want them to, shut down my whole operation. So I went along with it and took the Elvis Cup T-shirts off the website.
Well, you're certainly not.
Then the other only contact I had with them was I appeared in Memphis this past summer with the Elvis Cup, and I did some radio shows and a couple local TV shows, and I was on a little guided tour of some of the sites in Memphis, like Sun Studios and Humes High School, and I was contacted by Elvis Presley Enterprises once again, and they told me that I could not bring the Elvis Cup onto the grounds of Graceland.
Oh, jeez.
For some odd reason. I guess they thought I was going to, try to have some kind of publicity stunt go on out there.
Maybe,
so,
yeah, maybe.
Like I said, I didn't want to rub them the wrong way, so I didn't bring the cup out there. I didn't want anybody to try to confiscate it from me.
Let's talk about your association with the Filipino spawn of Elvis, Ren Elvis.
Yeah, he's a really interesting character. I met him at an event I did about a year ago, and of course they had some Elvis impersonators and things like that out there. And when he came up to my table where I had the Elvis Cup on display, he was so touched, so moved by the Elvis Cup. He went and changed into about 10 different jumpsuits and wanted his picture taken with the Elvis Cup in all these different jumpsuits. And he kept hanging around me.
Right.
And it was about 2 days later, I got a phone call, and he said he was so inspired by the Elvis Cup that he had written a song about it, and he sang it to me over the telephone. And he said he was going to go into the studio, and he was already working on an arrangement, putting music to it, and wanted to know if he could write a song about it and include it on his latest CD, Ren Elvis's Greatest Hits, Volume 2.
Right.
Which I thought was odd because I didn't even know he had any hits, especially a Volume 2.
Right.
But, I was all for it, and he went into the studio and recorded it, and naturally I thought it would be a good idea if we started appearing together.
Sure. Yeah.
So we've appeared at nightclubs and festivals and Filipino Christmas parties and a monster truck show.
Yeah.
And not only does he have a strange act where he comes out and sings Elvis tunes in kind of his Filipino style.
Right.
He has a lot of original songs that he's done, and then there's a special part of the show, kind of like an intermission, where he introduces me, and I come out with the Elvis Cup and talk about the Cup, the history behind it, take questions from the audience, and then I reintroduce Ren Elvis, and then he comes out and sings the Elvis Cup song to the Elvis Cup. And if you go to ElvisCup.com, my website, you can actually download and listen to, I think it's the studio version of the Elvis Cup song.
Absolutely. Listen, we're just about out of time. Will we ever see the Elvis Cup on eBay, or is this something that is so near and dear to your heart that you'll never sell?
No, I will not sell the Elvis Cup. Like I said, it's such a special thing to me, and I'm just so attached to it that I really don't want to sell it. And I think, not that I think it has endless income potential, but I have been offered money for the Elvis Cup. In fact, the Dark Corporation who actually made the Elvis Cup, they make about 99% of the styrofoam cups in the world, they offered to buy it from me in the beginning of 2005 for $10,000 because they have a styrofoam museum.
Sure. Yeah.
But I told them I couldn't sell it because I had some gigs lined up where if I don't have the Elvis Cup, I can't show up.
Right. Yeah.
So, I think I can make more with the Elvis Cup and have more fun with it than a one-time sale of the cup. So, no, I really don't plan on selling it. Now if somebody offered me, a few $1 million, I guess I would have to, but I don't think that's going to happen. So.
Absolutely. The website, www.elviscup.com. Thanks for coming on, Wade.
Hey, I enjoy talking to you, and all your listeners, just check out ElvisCup.com. You can see pictures of the Elvis Cup, Ren Elvis, the Filipino spawn of Elvis, myself, and you can also see photos of Elvis actually holding the cup that night at the concert I went to.
There you go. Thanks a lot, Wade.
Okay, well, thank you, sir.
Bye-bye. That's the Elvis Cup Guy here on Scared Monkeys Radio. We'll be right back with your calls.